Mitch, hi. Welcome to Behind the Laces. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm really excited for this conversation because you are really unique in terms of what steps you've taken for running. So you started really distance running for COVID. You seem to just jump over the half marathon, jump over the marathon, and you read about ultra marathon running, and that hooked you for whatever reason. So what was it about ultra running that you were like, I need to do this?
I read the book Born to Run, and that just changed my whole world. It changed not just it. I guess I kind of made these agreements on what I was capable of doing, and just reading that, I was like, no, I want to know. I want to know what I can do. I want to know where the limit is, and I just want to push myself. And I mean, it changed my diet and everything, just different way of looking at everything. So it's pretty awesome. Great book.
That's good. And so changing your diet, you feel better running long distance. How are you feeling? You know, it's different reading it and then actually taking it into action. So do you feel like you're living that? You feel that experience?
I do. I'd say I'm probably about 80 to 90% of my diet's plant based, and I just like recovery after a run is insane. I just have so much energy, and like it's just a different world for me than say a couple of years or so ago.
In this, reading this book, you were searching for a 100-mile race in 24 hours and you happened to come upon MS Run the US. So what did you think when you read about what we do? And at the time, you still had never run a half marathon yet, correct?
No, I hadn't. I kept running, and some of my running friends were like, "Oh, don't increase more than 10%." And I kept breaking that rule because I just kept wanting to do more. And like the day I realized I really wanted to do distance running, I ran 4 miles. I was still running in a pair of basketball shoes, like old basketball shoes. And my friends were like, "You really need to do something different with shoes." And wow, that changed things too. But yeah, there's just something about the idea of running 100 miles in a 24-hour period, and like that in that book. And I was like, wow, why does everybody not want to do this? Well, I've been looking for those kind of races, and then Facebook like recommended MS Run the US, and when I read about it, I was like, wow, this is a great organization, and that's definitely something that I want to do.
Let's talk about the MS component because you were diagnosed with MS yourself. Tell me a little bit about your diagnosis story and how long you've been living with the disease.
It's been 9 years now. Um, I, it's just crazy, like to have just normal days, and then one morning I woke up and I couldn't see anything out of my right eye. Just kind of like rub my eye. Okay, maybe I'm just sleepy, and like it just never came into focus. There was nothing, and to look in the mirror in the bathroom through my good eye, and it just felt like there was something covering my eye, but there was nothing there. I don't. Am I dying? What's going on? Just a million questions. What's going on? And so fortunately, like the optometrist at my where I worked at the time, in the super center, he recommended an ophthalmologist there in town, and he came in on a Saturday on his day off to meet me and uh, examine me. And it was just me and him in the office, and I just remember sitting in the chair, and he said, "I think you might have MS," and it was like a weight of bricks, but I also didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that meant. Uh, he reassured me. He said it's not a death sentence or anything, but he's like, we need to get you an MRI. So he set me up to go into an ER, and it was MRI and a couple of days of tests and like 5 days of steroid infusions. And I hate everything. I was so hungry from the steroids, but I know that's like one of the side effects of that many steroids. I ate all the time. That's one thing I do remember. But I just remember not knowing much about it, but the doctors were good at giving me information. They said, don't really Google it because there's stuff out there that can really, it's not accurate or can, give you like, I guess, anxiety over it. And
Right. And So everything you just described is a really heavy experience. Like even as you're describing it to me and I didn't experience it or live it, I'm just like, okay, so that was 9 years ago. What have you learned in this space of living with MS and what you're doing now, being a part of our 2021 relay team? That's a big jump, right? So tell me about the spaces, what you've learned living with this disease and what you've experienced.
The early start, like being blind and working in a big retail store, uh, in my right eye, like nobody knows because I mean, some people know because they knew I was in the hospital, but customers didn't know. And I don't know how many times I would run into something on the right side and just like, oh, kind of play it off. But just going from really clumsy and really awkward. But I kind of also took the attitude that I wasn't guaranteed to get my vision back. So I wasn't going to let that hold me back. And I think that's just kind of how I wanted to deal with this and just, get back in the gym or do whatever. And I guess grit, and just not wanting to quit. I think that's what's
right.
Is just not accepting that this is just, I don't know, just want to do more, I guess.
I love that. And you've really embodied this phrase, running greatly with MS. So what does that mean to you specifically to run greatly with MS?
Well, it comes from Teddy Roosevelt's "In the Arena" quote that I guess most people know. I mean, and I just kind of, that's where I got the idea for running or for running greatly. And just not every day is a pretty day. I mean, there's days that fatigue just wipes me out. There's days that I'm just tired and, but I think that's the thing is like, it's my battle and I'm the one that's in that arena every day, whether it's running or just functioning, giving my best every day. It may not look the same, but just being in there and being able to do my best and continue to fight every day.
And you definitely are a fighter. I know that part of running, like you mentioned, you had 3 knee surgeries, not being able to do basketball and volleyball the way that you used to. And so now you really take that competitor side into running and it seems like you're a competitor at heart, not necessarily in the ways that we might see it in, a sporting arena, but just like internally being that kind of competitor. So you happened to get assigned one of our most difficult segments. You're running across Pennsylvania. It's really hot and humid and it's very, very hilly. So tell me how you're going to show up every day for your segment. What kind of competitor things you're going to take with you as you go out to the segments to kind of ensure that you can do this marathon every day for a week.
So one thing, since I've started running, I started doing some local trail races and like the elevation and rocks and all that. I love it because this is especially being my first year. I've never done any of these trails. And there's just something about not knowing what's up ahead of me that I love, I enjoy. Even when I run around town, I try to just do different routes to go places because I think that's the thing I like the most. And the hills, I know they're definitely going to be a challenge, but I look forward to that. I love pushing myself every day. There was times on some of the trail, like I did a 25K trail race and it got to me at one point. I had to walk a little bit, but then I was able to pick it up and get going. And I just love that. Just, okay, I'm getting close to pushing myself, but I just love that challenge. And like hills, I'm happy to see them.
Well, good, because your segment is hilly. And I love what you said, that the more that you run, the stronger you get. That's significant because as you layer in good programming like we have at MS Run the US, you see over time how you get stronger. And I'm very confident that you're going to be able to go out and just crush your segments. I'm really excited for that. Before we wrap up, do you have a question for me about the organization or myself?
Yes, I do. So I know just like I like to go different places around town, but when I come back to the place, I'll remember a certain pothole that maybe tripped me up or just there's a place around the lake that has an old windmill and just like the sound of it. So you run all the way across the United States. Like if you were going to run it back, what are some of the potholes you would probably remember or some of the the awesome places just a couple of those that, if you were to run it back, what would you look forward to?
That's a really good question. I think what I would look forward to the most, and this is something that I made sure to do, that I recommend you to do during your segment, is to really stay present in the moment. And sometimes there's pain, sometimes there's poor weather, all of that kind of stuff. But one of the things I made sure to do when I was running across the country is not wish to be somewhere else. I didn't, when I got into Nevada, I didn't wish that I was back in California, because they're two very different places. You know, states have their own community and their own feel. And so I can tell you specifically what's different about California and Nevada. And so I don't know if there's one place that I would say, oh, I want to go back here because I loved it the most. I think the whole experience, and just knowing that each section had its own vibe to it that I really loved. And the same thing for the segments. You know, each day might have its own vibe to it, but collectively the whole experience is really something that's really beautiful. I look forward to you having that experience as well during your segment. I'm so thankful for your time today, and we'll see you soon.
I'm Ashley Schneider, Executive Director of MS Run US. Thank you so much for watching our videos, and make sure to subscribe so you can get our latest uploads.